Hello everyone, my name is Melbert Steve Obeha, and now we are going to discuss about the trial of Rizal, which is the continuation of the report of Miss Rebel. Trial of Rizal. On August 26, 1896, Andres Bonifacio and his fearless Katipuneros cried out in the hills of Balintawak, popularly known as Cry of Balintawak. A few miles north of Manila, they attacked San Juan, a city near Manila, on August 30, but were repulsed with heavy losses. Following the Battle of San Juan, Governor General Blanco declared a state of war in the 8 provinces of Manila: Bulacan, Cavite, Batangas, Laguna, Pampanga, Nueva Vizcaya, and Tarlac for their insurgency against Spain. Jose feared that the raging insurgency would result in a great deal of suffering and heinous destruction of human lives and property. He was also concerned about the possibility of Spanish retaliation against all Filipino patriots. During the chaos created by the uprising, Jose received 2 letters from Governor General Blanco exonerating him from the raging insurgency. Jose's last trip abroad was on September 3, 1896, when he left for Spain, troubled by the Katipuneros' violent attempt to overthrow the Spanish government. He was, however, transferred to another steamer, which he believed would transport him from Spain to Cuba, where he would fulfill his humanitarian offer of serving as a military physician. Before reaching Barcelona, he was unexpectedly apprehended and unlawfully detained as a prisoner on a Spanish steamer. On board the transport ship Colon, he was informed that he would be returned to Manila. The ship Colon arrived in Manila on November 3, 1896, and was greeted by Spaniards and friars because it brought more soldiers and supplies. And then, Rizal was transferred to Fort Santiago from the ship. The preliminary investigation began on November 20. He was given 15 pieces of documentary evidences. On November 6, Colonel Olive transmitted the records in order to begin appropriate action against Rizal. Rizal was only given the option of selecting his own defense attorney. He was given a list of Spanish Army lieutenants, and one name caught his eye. Rizal's bodyguard in Calamba was Don Luis Taviel de Andrade, who was the brother of Lieutenant Jose Taviel de Andrade. On November 20, 1896, a 5-day preliminary investigation was launched. Colonel Francisco Olive, the judge advocate, briefed Jose on the charges leveled against him. General Camilo G. D. Polavieja was appointed Governor General of the Philippines on December 13. Documentary and testimonial evidence were presented against Jose Rizal. There were 15 exhibits of documentary evidences. Captain Dominguez sent a summary of the action to Governor General Ramon Blanco, who forwarded it to Don Nicolas de la Pena, the Judge Advocate General. Pena made the following recommendations after studying the papers. Number 1. The accused be brought to trial immediately. Number 2. He be kept on prison. Number 3. An order of attachment be issued against his property in the amount of 1 million pesos as indemnity. And number 4. He be presented in court by an army officer rather than a civilian lawyer. So this is the cell in which Rizal was imprisoned, and dungeon where he was incommunicado, Fort Santiago. On December 1, 1896, charges were read to Jose in his prison cell with his lawyer by his side. He was accused of being the principal organizer and the living soul of the Filipino insurgency, the founder of societies, periodicals, and books dedicated to fomenting and propagating ideas of rebellion. Jose did not object to the court's jurisdiction, but claimed that he was not a revolutionary. He acknowledged that he drafted the Liga Filipinas Constitution, emphasizing that it was merely a civic alliance. He reiterated that he was not involved in politics during his exile to Dapitan. General Camilo G. T. Filoveja, who replaced General Ramon Blanco as Governor General of the Philippines, received Jose's case on December 13, 1896. Rizal's trial was a powerful example of Spanish injustice and misrule. It was clearly a mistrial, not just a farce. Rizal was tried by a military court made up of alien military officers, despite the fact that he was a civilian. His case was prejudged, and he was deemed guilty before the trial even began. The military court convened to accuse and condemn him, not to provide him with justice. All charges and testimonies against him were accepted, while all arguments and proofs in his favor were ignored. The trial of Rizal took place on December 26, 1896. His case is an example of Spanish misrule and injustice. Lieutenant Luis Taviel de Andrade, Rizal's counsel, worked tirelessly to persuade the members of the military court not to sentence the accused to death. Jose's defense counsel worked hard to present a convincing defense. He concluded his defense by reminding the judges to be fair and avoid vindictiveness in their decision-making. Following Lieutenant Don Luis Taviel de Andrade's defense, the court asked Jose if he had anything to say. Jose confidently read the following supplement to his defense. Number 1. He could not be a rebel because he advised Dr. Pio Valenzuela in the Dapitan not to revolt. Number 2. He did not share the radical revolutionary elements. Number 3. The revolutionaries used his name without his permission. If he had been found guilty, he could have fled to Singapore. Number 4. If he had been involved in the revolution, he could have fled in Amoro, Vinta, and that built a house, a hospital, or purchased land in the Dapitan. Number 5. If he were the revolution's commander-in-chief, why hasn't he been consulted by the revolutionaries? Number 6. It was true that he drafted the La Liga Filipinas bylaws, but this was a civic organization, not a revolutionary society. Number 7. The La Liga Filipina did not last long, as he was exiled to the Dapitan after the first meeting and it died out. And number 8. He was unaware that the La Liga had been recognized 9 months later. Number 9. If the La Liga had served the revolutionaries' needs, they would not have replaced it with the Katipunan. Number 10. If there were some venomous remarks in Rizal's letters, it was because they were written in 1890, when his family was being persecuted, being evicted from their homes, warehouses, and lands, and his brother and all his brothers-in-law were deported. Number 11. As far as the politico-military commanders and missionary priests could tell, his life in the Dapitan had been exemplary. It was not true that his one speech at Dorotea Onghongko's house inspired the revolution, as claimed by the witnesses he wishes to confront. His friends were well aware of his position to armed rebellion. So why did the Katipunan dispatch an unknown emissary to the Dapitan? Because those who knew him knew he would never support a violent movement. Jose's appeal was dismissed by the biased military court. The members of the military court agreed to convict Jose and sentence him to death after a brief deliberation. On December 26, 1896, the unjust military court decision was handed down to Governor General Camilo G. de Polavieja, who sought the opinion of Judge Advocate General Nicolas de la Pena, who confirmed the death sentence. On December 28, 1896, Governor General Camilo G. de Polavieja signed the decision of the court-martial to execute Jose Rizal. This decree was presented by Medina as follows. The 28th of December, 1896, in Manila, in accordance with the preceding opinion, I approve the court-martial's decision in this case, which imposes the death penalty on the accused Jose Rizal Mercado, which will be carried out by shooting him at 7 a.m. on the 30th of this month in the Bagumbayan field. Jose Rizal died a hero and a martyr for Philippine independence, according to them. After learning of the court-martial's unjust decision, Jose spent the next 24 hours seeing and speaking with his friends, family, and also Josephine Bracken. And that concludes my discussion about the trial of Rizal, and I hope you learned something. And thank you, and God bless you all.